Welcome to Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime with Jason and John, as we give you a quick 15 to 20 minutes of inside opinion and updates about the world of anime as we see it. This program is brought to you by the Parker Williams Branch, a Harris County Public Library. Let's go over the rules. This is a planned topics podcast. We will try and stick to the topic at hand and not have too many tangents. Number 2, while recording, we will have a 15-minute timer. We will try to wrap everything up within that 15 minutes. If we are having a good conversation towards the end of that time, there will be a bonus 5 minutes to wrap it up. Number 3, if the conversation is still too good to stop, we will stop recording that episode and start recording an overtime episode back-to-back released on the same day. And a fair warning, spoilers happen. Oops, our bad. Hello and welcome to this episode of Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime? Today's topic is Oldies But Goodies.
Which really just means that John gets to show his age and I get to sit like a stone because I'm not going to watch any of these. They're not bad, but...
You might watch some of them.
I have a threshold for how far back I want to go in terms of anime, and Cowboy Bebop at like 98 or 7 is kind of where that's at right now.
Maybe I can change your mind. Maybe not. So we're going to be talking about some retro, like 60s and 70s, some classics from the 80s, and then we'll stop before the 90s.
Yeah.
All right, first one is Astro Boy. So Astro Boy, I would say, is pretty much the first well-known anime. So you've got Osamu Tezuka, the godfather of manga, who made it. Original name, Tetsuwan Otamu, translated into Astro Boy. In the year 2003, Professor Tenma is distraught when his son, Tobio, is killed in a car accident. So losing himself in his latest project, he recreates a robot boy named Adam that is programmed to be good. So he makes his son as a robot boy.
I said I was going to sit like a stone. It's too hard. Never mind. You can keep going. I have some thoughts on it, but
Astro Boy is a classic. So you can watch the originals on YouTube, I think also Crunchyroll, but there were many different remakes. So there's a remake in the 80s, there's a remake in the 90s, there's an early 2000s remake with a movie in 2003. So really it was the first story to hit anime about sentient robots and robots that could make moral decisions on their own.
No Astro Boy on Crunchyroll, by the way.
Oh, not? Used to be. So,
pre-corona, we actually played the Astro Boy movie, the most recent one. I guess I don't think it was a 2003 one. It had to be.
There was 2003, but then I think there was an 2009 one too.
I don't know. Anyways,
it looked like
I watched that, and I feel like
you probably
got everything out of it. I didn't feel like I needed to go back to the 1960s.
The 60s is if you want like a retro feel.
Mm-hmm.
So the 80s one, the 90s one was a little bit better. 2001, but if you want the flavor and the story without all the having to go back in time, yeah, the movie's probably where you want to go. All right. So. From 1967, we also have Speed Racer, otherwise known as Mach Go Go Go. The Mach 5 is the fastest, most technologically advanced car equipped with the various gadgets and a powerful engine. The driver of this amazing vehicle is Go Mifune, aka Speed Racer, a teenager who dreams of breaking into the world of professional racing. So there was a Japanese remake in 97. As like 30 years of Speed Racer. And then there was also an American remake on Nickelodeon called Speed Racer X. Gotta put in that X.
I do not remember that.
And also in 2008, there was a Wachowski film that was followed by a Nicktoons Speed Racer The Next Generation series.
I remember the first one, not the second thing.
We actually used to have the book series that went along with that. So it is fun, but it's also cheesy. Mm-hmm. Very rompy, 1967. The American edits on them are kind of funny. So if you want like those funny retro moments, yeah, you could still watch the original. If you want the story without having to go all the way back in time, I would say the 2008 Wachowski film is actually a really good intro into Speed Racer, where you get the whole picture without having to watch 5 seasons of, Speed, look out! Oh, which if you're going for that, wait, this one's a good one. It was a complete flop in the box office, but it has a cult following on DVD. So what that basically means is the critics hated it, but everyone else loved it.
But critics liking things doesn't, always equate to fans liking things, because people like different things.
Exactly.
So,
Speed Racer, its cultural impact is that it was the first anime that really went worldwide. So big following in Japan, America, and Latin America. All right, Mobile Suit Gundam, one of my favorites. So 1979. So it is the year 0079 of the Universal Century, and mankind has moved to space colonies known as sides. One of these sides declares itself the Principality of Zeon and declares war on the Earth Federation. Using mobile suits, Zeon...
Big mechs.
Huh? Yeah.
Big mechs.
Humanoid robots.
Giant robot suits. Yeah.
That fight space. Zeon quickly gains the upper hand. When Zeon launches an attack on the colony holding the Gundam, a teenage civilian named Amuro Ray suddenly finds himself thrown into a conflict, pitting him against the enemy ace pilot Char Aznavour. So, Gundam it's like its own universe, because over 40 years...
Like an MCU, but with anime. And,
well... Yeah, totally, because now it also
robots.
has different timelines. But this one is specifically Universal Century. So 40 years with over 30 different series of Gundam. So you have the original series, but then you also have consequent series that come after it. So in 1985, you have Zeta Gundam. And Zeta Gundam pretty much sets the stage for Gundam as a norm to have Gundam pilots act as third-party peacekeepers. So in Zeta Gundam, it's the Anti-Earth Union group, which is going between the Earth Federation and Neo Zeon. And then in Gundam 00, it's Celestial Being, and in Iron-Blooded Orphans, it is Tekkaden.
I actually watched Iron-Blooded Orphans. It's the only Gundam I've watched, and it will probably be the only Gundam I will watch. Just not because I think they're bad, but mech stuff doesn't.
It's just not your
grab
wheelhouse.
me. Yeah.
So, Gundam didn't really.
Plus, it's a lot of shows.
It is.
If it were like one show, maybe. But
I'm skipping the whole SD world for the most part because it's just not interesting to me. There's a lot of Gundams. So it didn't start the giant robo genre.
But it made it popular, I guess.
In a way, it started the whole piloting of a large mech and being entrenched in wars that are fought in both space and Earth. Often it features people oppressed people, people that or they call them space noids. So they treated the people who lived in space instead of Earth as second-class citizens. In Iron-Blooded Orphans, they called it space debris. They're usually fighting some sort of organization or government that is oppressive. So usually the person who's flying the Gundam has a good reason and is fighting for freedom. All right, move on to 86. You've got Double Zeta. And then in 1988, they released a movie, Char's Counterattack, which we actually saw pre-corona. It basically is...
It's like a sequel kind of ending to your original one, right?
Correct. So the movie is a good all-around vehicle to see. So if you want to...
I've never seen the original, but I watched that one, and I didn't feel like I was missing much. So
you get everything on the Universal timeline. So the Universal Century timeline. And then you also make sure to see...
Some dumb characters, though.
Well...
I forgot her name, but she was
dumb. Definitely. I know who you're talking about. But then also you get to see Amuro Ray not be a whiny little baby. He's just kicking in teeth. Now, another one that I would recommend, my absolute favorite Gundam series is the 08 MS Team, released in 96, so older for us, newer for, classic. But it really is in, like, the Universal Century timeline in a nutshell. So it uses the classic RG-79G Gundams, which is like one of my favorite classics. The RX-78-2 is the prototype, like Gundam that Amuro Ray. There's a ton of Gundams. Like,
yeah, I can tell.
You could do a whole trivia show just on like Gundam names and evolutions from one Gundam to the next.
We won't do that. It'll be incredibly one-sided. I will know nothing.
Yes.
That one's 96, so it's older than Cowboy Bebop. So
it's older than Cowboy Bebop, but it's a good 12. It's a good 12 episode series with 24-minute episodes that pretty much sums up everything. So yeah, I suggest Gundam. They keep on making new Gundams. If you like a certain aesthetic, or you like a certain just way things are, like you like teams getting together in a video game and fighting, there's a Gundam for you. So
yeah, that is a thing.
Don't give up on Gundams. Next up, in 1979, we have Lupin III. Mm-hmm. So, Arsène Lupin III is the grandson of the world-famous thief Arsène Lupin, a high-profile thief. Lupin III attracts the attention of the persistent Inspector Zenigata of the ICPO, rival criminals, and femme fatale Fujiko Mine.
Or Mine, whatever. I've never watched it. I don't know how you say it. But this one's actually one of the ones I'm interested in. Not the old, all the way going back to the start, 1970s, but they're still making it. So it's got to be really popular and interesting.
There is one in the 1970s, Castle of
Cagliostro.
Mm-hmm. That's how you say it, which was by Hayao Miyazaki. That is worth watching. It stands up to the test of time. It's good. And there is an American version of it with a dub. Pretty much since 1971, there have been 7 different parts released that go all the way until 2018.
Yeah.
There are 7 different films. There's a Netflix film where they did 3D animation from 2009. It basically continues the heist-style stories, Ocean's 11 type stuff that people are always like interested in. So
it's always fun to watch those. I watched Great Pretender like last year, and that's a bunch of heist stuff. So I like stories where they kind of have to be smart about what they're stealing.
It's interesting. It usually has snappy dialogue. There's some funny stuff in there. They always throw in comedy. So I'd say Lupin III is a good one to watch. You can watch the Castle of Cagliostro, or you can watch some of the new stuff. It transitions pretty well.
The new stuff is what I've been having my eye on.
Now, Hayao Miyazaki is part of Studio Ghibli. So the studio was founded on June 15th, 1985 by directors Hayao Miyazaki, Isao Takahata, and producer Toshio Suzuki. After the success of Top Crafts, that's not it, anime film Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Okay, I'm here to fix your mistakes. We're good.
So, Nausicaa was a huge success worldwide. Environmental message, just different art style, many translations, dubbed in many different languages, and so worldwide getting attention. So pretty much they got together and decided, hey, we'll make a studio and we'll do all sorts of different other films. So in 1986, they released Castle in the Sky, which is kind of like a steampunk world of airships. And a girl has an amulet that leads her and this boy that she meets on an adventure to Laputa, the castle in the sky, and they have to kind of figure out, what's the mystery? Why is this abandoned? One of the most famous is My Neighbor Totoro, 1988. So 2 little girls are having enchanted adventures in rural Japan as they wait for their mother to recover in a hospital. So there's that sad aspect of, is mom actually recovering or is she going to die? But then they're also having these like little enchanted adventures in the forest where they meet all these different creatures, including the Totoro, which is like the Studio Ghibli mascot. Much merge.
I mean, it's probably more a testament to, Studio Ghibli that their movies are still held in really high regard in, popular culture, like 30-something years out. This one's actually one where the set of movies that comes out from Studio Ghibli are ones that I've been meaning to watch. Just because I know they're good. And it's not that
you just
I'm
haven't
not
made the
gonna,
time.
I just haven't, because I check them out and then I have them on a shelf and then they stay there.
And then you need to bring them back.
And
you
then
don't want to
eventually I get to it and then bring them back. But I just don't watch movies too much.
Well, one of my wife's favorite is Kiki's Delivery Service, 1989. Basically, to become a full-fledged witch, Kiki needs to go live out on her own for a year and make her own living. So she starts a delivery service. She has her cat Gigi with her. Gigi is one of those iconic black cats in anime. Really cute story. Also of note, if you're going to watch one and only one, the award-winning Spirited Away. So came out in 2001. Got an Oscar in 2003. Actually beat out Lilo and Stitch, Ice Age, and Treasure Planet for the Oscar. Basically, Chihiro and her parents. Chihiro. That's right. Chihiro and her parents stumble across a hotel for spirits, and when her parents are transformed into pigs, she must learn how to be self-reliant and work towards saving her parents. Basically, Studio Ghibli has become part of Japanese culture and identity. They take the elements of life and the values of the culture that are uniquely Japanese, and they incorporate it into these compelling stories that are on display for the whole world. It's basically when the Japanese say, this is who we are, this is who we are. Kind of like how some Americans say, Transformers, explosions, Michael Bay, boom, that's America.
Bald eagles. Hamburgers. I like hamburgers.
Well, you're rather German.
Why are you taking that from me?
Now, orange chicken is American.
Else.
Waffle cones are American.
I like spicier stuff than orange chicken. What's something? I guess we could say trucks, but I don't own a truck. So we're just gonna chalk that one up to not knowing enough.
All right. Next is Dragon Ball. Original Dragon Ball. So Goku is a young boy who lives in the woods, all alone until Bulma runs into him in search of a set of magical objects called the Dragon Balls. The artifacts are said to grant one wish to whoever collects all 7.
All right, I will never, ever, 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 ever watch this show. It has too many, too many episodes.
Well, this is original Dragon Ball. We're not talking about Dragon Ball.
I'm talking about overall. I'm getting it out there. I'm never gonna watch it. I've played some games before with my cousins and friends. I've seen the fighting. I've seen some of the episodes. At various points in my life, I've gotten everything I need to know.
So this one is actually done by Akira Toriyama, who's a writer, pretty famous. In the 80s, he also did Dr. Slump, which was a combo of talking animals and weird science, where the inventor Senbei tries to create the best female robot in the world. I don't know. But he also did the artwork and some of the story work for the Dragon Quest games, which are still current and available on Switch.
There's just too much. It's like fairy tale in One Piece. There's hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and just because it's good doesn't mean I have the time to go through it all. And
that would be Dragon Ball Z, 1989. Goku is now living a peaceful life with his wife and son. This changes with the arrival of the mysterious Radish.
Radish, but with a TZ instead.
Yeah, because he's bad. Who fights Goku, basically gets defeated. Raditz warns of a new threat that's rapidly approaching Earth that could plummet it straight into an intergalactic conflict. So basically, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z have had a huge impact. The fighting anime is all about constant improvement and surpassing your limits. You know, you hear Yami say that a ton in Black Clover.
I'm sure it's influenced a ton of stuff because it's, you know, like you said, incredibly popular.
It basically latched on to the Western psyche and never let go.
There's just so much.
Yes. So it's been imitated much like our modern JoJo. In shows like Gumball on Cartoon Network, it's been part of rap songs and lyrics and even championed by stars like Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, she likes anime. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, the drawback is that the amount of time that they spend trash talking and doing recaps is about 2 to 1 to the time that they actually spend fighting.
That's another reason I can't watch these. It would have had to have been something I watched as growing up because I'm not going back.
Yeah. I watched Dragon Ball. I really liked it. I liked it more than Dragon Ball Z. But that's me. I mean, lots of other people love Dragon Ball Z more. And Super and...
whatever they're at now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure Super is the one right now.
So, notable 80s sci-fi. So, there are about 3 that are really notable. The first one is Voltron, otherwise known as Beast King Go Lion, 1981. So, Go Lion, aka Voltron, is a powerful sentient robot which is broken into 5 pieces as punishment for abusing its powers. 5 Earthlings encounter the Galra on a ravaged Earth and are transported to Altea, where the 5 lions wait in hibernation. Will the 5 lions reunite into the form of Go Lion? May it be the only hope for the human race? Find out like next time on Voltron.
Proto Power Rangers, where they turn into a Megazord type thing.
So it's really influenced like the whole Bandai brand of things. So the combining robot genre of sci-fi, from Power Rangers to SSSS Gridman or Dynan Xenon. And I did put 2 N's in that. So Voltron has been remade a couple times. In 1998, it was Voltron, the Third Dimension. Then in 2011, it was Voltron Force on Nicktoons. And on Netflix now, you can see Voltron, Legendary Defender. So basically, Voltron is another pop culture icon that's made its way around the world with references in all sorts of different shows, even Rick and Morty.
That's the only reason I know it.
Yeah. So there's like a millennial nostalgia factor because we grew up, like the older ones like me, grew up with this stuff.
I didn't, but for various other reasons.
All right. Next up, 1998.
88.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one actually does break my rule of not watching stuff older than Cowboy Bebop because it's Akira.
Yes.
And, you know, I wanted to watch it. I wanted to see what it was about because it's been held up as this, like, one of the greatest animated films of all time. And so I knew it was real weird.
So, what is Akira?
Not bad.
What is Akira about? Japan, 1988, World War III is started by a psychic explosion from a boy. 21 years later, Neo-Tokyo is a gang-laden city. Think Mad Max, but urban. Biker gang leader Kaneda's best friend Tetsuo gets in an accident with an Esper that makes him develop Esper powers. That could possibly destroy the city all over again and the world. So, it was a manga before it was a movie.
Like a lot of anime movies.
Americans loved this. So one of the pieces of like formatting like the
Canon.
cyberpunk like genre. So it's basically 1982 Blade Runner and 1988 Akira are the 2 things that you're going to look for. Sentient robots, like dystopian, like overdeveloped urban cities, like the look, the feel, the grit that you get are going to be from these 2.
Plus, there's always even now, I think they still reference Kaneda's motorcycle. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was in Ready Player One, specifically. I also think the Esper factor played into, like the whole, Mob Psycho 100. So, yeah, Espers have been around a long time. least in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Last but not least, 1987 Bubblegum Crisis.
Go back to me not knowing what he's talking about, so I will attempt to stay the stone.
After an earthquake that destroyed Tokyo, the city is reborn as Mega Tokyo. You'll hear that a lot in the older ones. Built from the labors of mechanical beasts known as boomers. Insert boomer joke here.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
Gundam has now begun to produce new dangerous humanoid boomers. To combat boomer crime, the 80 police are formed. Separate series that comes out later.
Can we put a photo of
Michael
every time you say boomer, or like
Maybe.
boomer crimes?
Maybe.
Okay, cool. You can continue.
The 80 police are formed and found ineffective. The power suit wearing vigilante night sabers are the city's only hope. So it's basically the beginning of like the dark Mega Tokyo idea, kind of like the dark Los Angeles and Blade Runner, with an over-reliance on AI and robots starting to take over people's lives. You can see an influence from this in the Vivi's Florid Eyes song, which is really good.
Been meaning to watch it.
I would highly recommend it.
You don't have to recommend something I already know I'm going to watch.
Not just to you, to them. So, there was a spin-off OVA series called Bubblegum Crash, which kind of continues the story. There was also a reboot in '98 called Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. They've also had multiple spin-off shows, including the 80 Police, which there are 2 seasons of that, and crossovers with 3 other shows, as well as a 2003 OVA called Parasite Dolls. So Bubblegum Crisis is basically one of those ones where it goes with the theme of a mega corporation. You've got rogue robots, you've got power suits, and it really sets the stage for something like Ghost in the Shell or No Gun's Life that deal with sentient AIs gone awry, but in more like a pop punk, less noir way than like Blade Runner and No Gun's Life did. So
I'm nodding in agreement, but again, I don't know anything about this.
So another one I would recommend. If you want to cut to the chase and go to something newer, then I would say Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040 is a really good updated version of it, and you could just pretty much stop there, and you'd be good.
Plus, that came out in '98, which fulfills the threshold of being older than a show. I forgot the name for like 2 seconds. It came to me. Cowboy Bebop. It's not older than Cowboy Bebop, so I'll watch it.
Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time for our Hot Wings Showdown, where Jason and I will go head-to-head with trivia and
really spicy hot wings that the loser has to keep eating that get progressively hotter and make you want to die.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, no, that's really it. So
I just hope the host is picking good questions and not ones where she's trying to torture both of us.
She can torture John. That's okay. He's lived a long life.